You remember the day you got the keys, the walkthrough, the closing table, signing your name more times than you could count. You remember thinking, this is mine. Then something happened. A job loss, a medical situation, a divorce, a business that stopped working, a payment that got missed, and then another. And then the letters started coming. And at some point, the house you bought, the house you painted, the house your kids grew up in was no longer yours. And now you are sitting here wondering, how long does a foreclosure follow me? Can I ever buy a home again? What exactly is on my credit reports right now? And what does it mean for everything I want next? Is there anything I could have done differently or anything I can still do now? Tonight, we answer all of it because a foreclosure is one of the most emotionally heavy financial events a person can go through. And it's also one of the most misunderstood. Let's change that today. Welcome to the Real Credit Talk Show, audio edition. I'm your host, Tiana Mayers, also known as Lady T. Founder of Beyond Credit Limits Corporation. And this is where we break down how credit actually works. Not from opinion, not from guesswork, but from how the system is designed to read you. This is a Beyond Credit Limits production. If you want to understand how your situation connects to what we talk about here, you can visit www.beyondcreditlimits.com. And if you've been tapped into the brand, you already know what it is at thatmerchmood.com. This is a space where we stop repeating credit myths, stop chasing surface level advice, and start breaking down how the system actually works. Not the watered down version, not the social media version, not the version people throw around without context. The real version, the structured version, the version that helps you understand what is actually happening when your name, your information, your accounts, your behavior, and your decisions all come together inside a credit profile. So wherever you're listening from, I want you to settle in. Because this conversation is not just about credit. It's about how your profile is being read before you ever get an answer. Now let's go. Today is not about your credit. Let me say that again. Today is not about your credit. Today is about the home, the one you lost, the one you are trying to keep, or the one you are trying to get back to. A foreclosure is not just a credit event. It is a life event. And the credit system doesn't record the life event. It records what happened to the account, which means there is a gap between what you experienced and what your credit file says you did. Today, we close that gap. Not by pretending the foreclosure didn't happen, by understanding exactly what it recorded, exactly what it means, and exactly what your path forward looks like from where you are right now. Let's go. Welcome to episode 17 of the Real Credit Talk Show. Ow! I'm Tiana Mayers, Lady T. I want to say something before we get into the mechanics tonight. If you have ever been through a foreclosure, or if you are in the middle of one right now, the shame that people carry around This topic is one of the biggest obstacles to actually move forward. So let me say it plainly. Most people who have experienced foreclosure did not stop paying their mortgage because they didn't want to. They stopped because something happened. The income changed. The health changed. The family situation changed. The math stopped working. That's a human story. The system doesn't record the human story. It records the account. Today, we're going to talk about what that recording actually says, what it means for your financial options going forward, what the timeline actually looks like, not the internet version, the real version, and what you can still do to influence what happens next, whether the foreclosure is behind you or still in front of you. This episode has something you need to hear. We'll be right back.
Most people think credit is just a score. It's not. Your credit can affect where you live, what you drive, your interest rates, approvals, deposits, business funding, and even the opportunities available to you. At Beyond Credit Limits, we help consumers understand how the system actually works. This isn't about gimmicks. This is about structure, strategy, education, and financial positioning. Whether you're trying to rebuild, organize your financial profile, understand collections, prepare for home ownership, or create a stronger financial foundation, Beyond Credit Limits was built to help you move with intention. The consultation is where everything starts. We will review your situation, identify what's happening inside your credit profile, and map out the next steps based on your goals. Stop guessing, stop moving blind, and stop letting misinformation cost you financially. Visit www.beyondcreditlimits.com and fill out your consultation today. Again, that's www.beyondcreditlimits.com. Beyond Credit Limits, because financial freedom starts with understanding the system.
And we're back. Let's get into it. Most people think foreclosures start when they get the big official letter, the one with the legal language, the one that makes the situation feel real. Legally, by that point, the process has usually already been running for months. If you missed your first mortgage payment, you did not know the clock started that day. Not the day the notice arrived, not the day someone knocked, the day the payment was due and didn't come through. Here is how the timeline actually works. Day 1 of the missed payment. The loan is delinquent. That delinquency gets reported after 30 days. Around 90 to 120 days of missed payments, the servicer typically issues a notice of default, the formal declaration that the loan is in default and the foreclosure process has officially begun. In some states, that notice gets filed publicly. It is called a lis pendens, Latin for suit pending. That public filing is a matter of record. Anyone researching the property can see it. After the notice of default, the homeowner enters what is called a pre-foreclosure period. This is the window, and it matters enormously. It is the last real opportunity to stop the foreclosure before it completes. Most people spend the pre-foreclosure period in one of two modes: paralysis, not knowing what to do, so doing nothing, or scrambling, trying random things without understanding which one actually works. Both are expensive because the pre-foreclosure window is finite, and once it closes, the options change dramatically. If you are in a pre-foreclosure right now, or if you know someone who is, the single most important thing to understand is that this window has options in it that will not be available after the sale. Loan modification, forbearance agreement, repayment plan, short sale, deed in lieu of foreclosure. None of these are magic, but all of them are real, and all of them produce a better outcome than a completed foreclosure in most situations. The window is the most valuable thing you have when you are in pre-foreclosure. Do not spend it doing nothing. Before a foreclosure completes, there are several paths that can change the outcome, or at least change what ends up on your credit profile. Let's go through the real ones. Loan modification. A loan modification is a permanent change to the terms of your existing mortgage. The interest rate, the loan term, the monthly payment, one or more of those gets restructured to make the loan workable given your current situation. This is not a refinance. You are not applying for a new loan. You are renegotiating the existing one. The modification has to be negotiated directly with the servicer, the company that collects your payments, which may be different from the lender who originated the loan. The process requires documentation, financial hardship letters, income verification, a clear picture of what you can actually afford now, and it requires following up consistently in writing with records of every communication. A modification that succeeds keeps you in the home and keeps the foreclosure from completing. It does not erase the payment history that led to the default, but it stops the forward progression of the damage. A forbearance is a temporary pause or reduction in your mortgage payments, agreed to by the servicer while you get back on your feet. It is not payment forgiveness. The paused payments still exist. They get addressed at the end of the forbearance period, either as a lump sum added to the back of the loan or rolled into a repayment plan. A forbearance can stop the foreclosure timeline while it is in effect, which means if you are in early stage default and a hardship is clearly documented, a forbearance can be the bridge that gives you time to stabilize. A short sale happens when the home is sold for less than what is owed on the mortgage. The lender agrees to accept the sale proceeds as full or partial satisfaction of the loan, even though the proceeds fall short of the balance. Why would a lender agree to that, right? Because a completed foreclosure is expensive for the lender too. Legal costs, property maintenance, time to resell. A short sale is often less costly than going through the full process. For the home ownership, a short sale still affects the credit profile, but it typically reports with less severity than a completed foreclosure, and it can close the chapter on the mortgage without the full legal process of a foreclosure completing. A deed in lieu is exactly what it sounds like. You voluntarily transfer ownership of the property back to the lender in exchange for being released from the mortgage obligation. You are essentially handing the keys back in a structured, negotiated way, rather than going through the full foreclosure process. Like a short sale, a deed in lieu still affects the credit file, but it avoids the full public foreclosure proceeding and can sometimes be negotiated to include a waiver of any deficiency, the difference between the home's value and what was owed. Every one of these alternatives require the servicer to agree. None of them are guaranteed, and what's available to you depends on your specific situation, your loan type, and how far into the default you are. But they all exist, and most people in foreclosure never fully explored them because nobody laid them out clearly. People hear foreclosure and assume their credit is ruined. Full stop, no recovery possible. That is not accurate, but the damage is real. It is significant, and it lasts longer than most people realize. Do you know how many separate negative entries a foreclosure can generate on your credit file? Because most people assume it's one entry. one foreclosure, one mark, one thing to deal with. Here is what actually happens. First, the late payment entries. Before the foreclosure ever completes, the missed mortgage payments are already reporting 30 days late, 60 days late, 90 days late. Each interval is a separate notation on the account. And mortgage late payments carry significant weight because of all account types. Your payment history on a mortgage is watched most closely. Second, the foreclosure itself. Once the foreclosure completes, the account status updates to show the foreclosure. This entry sits on the credit report for 7 years from the date of first delinquency. Not 7 years from the foreclosure sale date. Not 7 years from when you moved out. 7 years from the date the loan first went delinquent. That clock was already running before you ever received a single notice. Third, if there is a deficiency when the foreclosure sale produces less than what was owed, the remaining balance is a deficiency. In states that permit deficiency judgments, the lender can pursue that balance legally, which creates a third negative entry, a judgment separate from the foreclosure itself. A single foreclosure can produce 3 distinct negative entries, all 3 reporting simultaneously, all 3 with their own weight on the score, and the score impact of a completed foreclosure is amongst the heaviest in the entry credit reporting system. Depending on where the score was before, the drop can be measured in the hundreds of points. This is not to create fear. This is to create understanding, because the people who recover from foreclosure fastest are not the ones who were the luckiest. They are the ones who understood the full picture, every entry, every timeline, every option, and moved with a real strategy instead of hope. The question I hear more than almost any other from someone who has been through a foreclosure is this: can I ever buy a home again? The answer is yes, with conditions, with timelines, and with real work. But yes. Here is what the waiting periods actually look like by loan program, because this is where most people have been given incomplete or flat out wrong information. After a completed foreclosure, the standard waiting period for a conventional loan is 7 years from the foreclosure completion date. 7 years is the standard, but there is an exception. If the foreclosure was the result of documented extenuating circumstances, jobless, serious illness, death of a co-borrower, some programs may allow consideration after 3 years with additional requirements. The extenuating circumstances exception is not automatic. It has to be documented, submitted, and approved. And life was hard does not meet the threshold. It requires specific, verifiable, one-time events that were clearly beyond your control. FHA has a shorter standard waiting period, 3 years from the foreclosure completion date. 3 years, not 7. For many people coming out of a foreclosure, FHA is the first realistic path back to homeownership. But it comes with requirements. The credit profile has to be rebuilt. The score has to meet the program minimum. The debt-to-income picture has to work. And if the foreclosure involves an FHA-insured loan, there are additional considerations. For eligible veterans and service members, the VA loan waiting period after foreclosure is generally 2 years from completion. 2 years with an entitlement that may need to be restored if the foreclosed property was VA financed. The restoration process has its own steps. USDA rule development loans. typically require a 3-year waiting period from foreclosure completion. Now, here is the most important thing I want you to understand about all of these waiting periods. The clock starts on the foreclosure completion date, not the date you moved out, not the date you stopped paying, not the date you received the first notice, the date the foreclosure legally completed. And if you do not know that specific date, and most people don't, finding it is step 1 of rebuilding your comeback plan. Here is something most people get wrong about the waiting period. They treat it like a sentence, like they're sitting in a waiting room until someone calls their name and hands them their credit back. That is not how this works. The waiting period is not passive. It is the most active time in your entire financial recovery. Because when that waiting period ends, when you walk into a lender's office and say you're ready to buy again, the foreclosure will still be on the file. But what surrounds it tells the entire story of who you have become since. A lender is not just looking at the foreclosure. They're looking at everything after it. Are there new positive accounts? Is the payment history clean since the foreclosure? Is the utilization managed? Has the score recovered to the program minimums? Are there any additional negatives since? Those questions have answers, and the answers are built during the waiting period, not discovered at the end of it. Which means the person who spent the waiting period actively rebuilding is in a completely different position than the person who spent it waiting. And the gap between those two people shows up in the rate they get, the program they qualify for, and whether they get approved at all. These are the moves that extend the damage and push the timeline out further, assuming the foreclosure is the only thing on the file. A foreclosure doesn't arrive. It comes with the late payments that preceded it, potentially a deficiency, potentially a judgment. People focus on the foreclosure word and miss the 3 other entries doing equal damage, doing nothing during the waiting period. 3 years go by. 7 years go by, and the profile looks exactly like it did the day of the foreclosure because nothing was built in between. The waiting period expired. The readiness did not. Adding new negatives after the foreclosure. A foreclosure followed by additional late payments, more collections, or new derogatory accounts signals to the next lender that the foreclosure was not an isolated event. It was part of a pattern. Pattern reads as risk. Risk affects approval and rate, not knowing the foreclosure completion date. People spend years thinking the clock started on a date that is not the legal relevant date. The wrong starting point produces the wrong end date, and walking into a lender a year early gets you a denial that didn't have to happen. Letting the deficiency sit unaddressed. In states that permit deficiency collection, an unaddressed deficiency can become a judgment. A judgment that appears after the foreclosure is a fresh negative entry on a file that is trying to recover from the old ones. It resets the narrative, and it can affect whether any lender will touch the file during the waiting period at all. Before we get into tonight's questions, if anything in this episode connects to where you are right now, do not sit on that feeling. Visit www.beyondcreditlimits.com and fill out the consultation form. We look at the full picture, every entry, every timeline, every goal, and we build the strategy around what is actually there. If you have a question for the show, submit it to the Real Credit Talk Show at beyondcreditlimits.com. Your first name and state or anonymous. Your choice. I read everyone. Let's get into tonight's questions. Brandon, Oregon. My foreclosure completed 4 years ago. I've been rebuilding the whole time. My score is in the low 700s now. Is FHA the right path for me, or should I be looking at conventional at this point? Brandon, that's a great question. This is exactly the kind of question that sounds simple and isn't. And I say that in the best possible way, because the answer tells you you've done the right work. A low 700 score 4 years post foreclosure suggests you rebuilt consistently and deliberately. That matters. Whether FHA or conventional is the right path depends on a few things your question doesn't tell me. What is the foreclosure completion date specifically? Because at 4 years, you are past FHA's 3-year window and may be approaching conventional eligibility depending on whether extenuating circumstances apply in your situation. What does the rest of your credit reports look like? Score is one piece. The DTI, the deposit situation, what else is reporting? All of that shapes which program makes the most sense. What's your down payment situation? FHA requires 3.5% with mortgage insurance. Conventional at your score level may offer options that remove mortgage insurance at a lower long-term cost. You've done the hard work. Now is the time to let a professional look at the full picture and tell you specifically what program positions you best. Not a guess, a strategy. Visit www.beyondcreditlimits.com and let's figure out the right path together. Latoya, Idaho. I'm currently in pre-foreclosure, 3 months behind. I got a loan modification packet from my servicer, but it's overwhelming. Is it worth filling out or is it too late? Latoya, fill it out. 3 months behind is not too late. To pursue a modification, in most situations, you are in the window. The window has options. You need to use them. The packet is overwhelming on purpose, not because the servicer is trying to confuse you, but because they are collecting a complete financial picture. Income, expenses, hardship explanation, supporting documentation. Here's what matters most about the process. Submit it completely. Incomplete packages get declined on technicalities. Submit it in writing and keep copies of everything, every page sent, every date sent, every confirmation received. Follow up consistently. Call regularly and document the name of every person you speak with. The foreclosure process and the modification review can run simultaneously at some servicers, meaning they can be processing your modification while the foreclosure clock is still running. Get confirmation in writing that the foreclosure process has been paused pending your modification review. Do not wait on this. The window is real. Act inside it. Isaiah, Iowa. My house sold at foreclosure auction for less than I owed. Now I'm getting letters from a law firm about a deficiency. I thought once the house was gone, that was it. What do I do? Isaiah, you are not alone in being shocked by this. The assumption that the house sale ends everything is one of the most common and expensive misconceptions in the foreclosure conversation. Whether the lender can legally pursue that deficiency depends significantly on your state. Some states are anti-deficiency states, meaning the lender's right to collect the difference is restricted or eliminated after a foreclosure sale. Other states allow it fully. The first thing you need to know is which state you are in and what the applicable laws say about this specific type of loan and this specific sale. The second thing is to understand the timeline. Deficiency collection has its own statute of limitations. If the letters are coming from a law firm, they may be positioning to file a lawsuit, which creates a judgment, which is a separate and more serious issue than the deficiency alone. Do not ignore the letters. Get the right eyes on this immediately. Visit www.beyondcreditlimits.com and let's understand the full credit picture alongside what's being pursued. Celeste, Delaware. Completely random, but I have a secured credit card I've had for 2 years with a perfect payment history. When does it make sense to upgrade to an unsecured card? Celeste, 2 years of perfect history on a secured card means the foundation is built. The timing for upgrading depends on a few things. First, check whether your current secured card issuer has an upgrade path to an unsecured product. Some issuers will graduate you automatically and return your deposit after a qualifying period. Others require you to apply for a separate unsecured product. If your issuer has a graduation option, that is almost always the better move because the account age carries over. 2 years of history stays intact. If you need to apply separately, think about timing. What else is on the file right now? Is the rest of the profile in a position where a new application makes sense? A new hard inquiry and a new account will temporarily affect the score. Make sure there is nothing major you are applying for in the next few months, where that temporary dip would matter. 2 years in is a reasonable time to evaluate the upgrade. Make the move thoughtfully, not just because the timing feels right. Donovan, Montana. I went through a foreclosure and a divorce in the same year. My ex was on the mortgage too. Does the foreclosure show on both our credit profiles at the same time? Donovan, yes. If both names were on the mortgage, the foreclosure reports on both credit files. The credit reporting system does not distinguish between who was more responsible for the default. Every party listed on the loan carries the account history in their file, including the late payments, the default status, and the completed foreclosure, which means 2 people going through a divorce with a jointly held mortgage in default are each carrying the full weight of this event in their individual profiles. The recovery path for each of you then depends on what each individual file looks like outside of the shared mortgage. Separate accounts, separate histories, separate scores going forward. The foreclosure was shared. The rebuild is individual. And that rebuild can look very different for 2 people who went through the same event. Kendra, Oklahoma. I've been renting since my foreclosure 3 years ago, and I'm still trying to get to the point where I can buy again. Honestly, my score is still in the 500s. Am I wasting my time thinking about homeownership in the near future? Kendra, you are not wasting your time, but I want to be honest with you about what the path looks like. A score in the 500s 3 years post-foreclosure tells me one of 2 things. Either the file has other negatives beyond the foreclosure that have continued to accumulate since, additional late payments, collections, something else, and those are what's holding the score down. Or the rebuild hasn't really started yet. No new positive accounts, no active credit being managed well, which means the foreclosure is still the loudest thing in the file because there is nothing else to compete with it. Either way, neither one is permanent. But near future depends on what we mean. If you want to pursue FHA in the next 1 to 2 years, the score needs to move significantly from the 500s. That is achievable. It requires understanding what is specifically keeping the score down. and addressing those things with intention. Don't just wait for time to pass. Build while you wait. Visit www.beyondcreditlimits.com. And let's look at exactly what the file needs to get you where homeownership is realistic, not just possible. Submit your questions to the Real Credit Talk Show at beyondcreditlimits.com. Your first name and state or anonymous, I read everyone. We started today with the memory of the keys, the walkthrough, the closing table, the feeling of this is mine. A foreclosure takes the house, but it doesn't take the possibility of getting back there. What it takes is time you have to work with, not wait out. The pre-foreclosure window has options that close after the sale. The waiting period after foreclosure has timelines that are real and specific. The credit file has entries that can be understood, mapped, disputed, where inaccurate, and built around with intention. And the people who buy homes again after foreclosure, and there are many of them, not people who got lucky. They are people who understood exactly where they were, what the path forward required, and showed up for the work every single month until the profile said something different than it did before. That is available to you, and now you understand the road. If episode 17 taught you anything, I hope it is this. A foreclosure is not a verdict on who you are. It is a record of what happened to an account during one of the hardest seasons of your life. The credit system recorded the account. It did not record the season. And the gap between those two things is exactly where the comeback lives. Because the system that recorded the foreclosure is the same system that records the recovery. Every on-time payment since, every account managed correctly, every month of consistent behavior, building the counter narrative. The file that says foreclosure today can say something completely different in 3 years, in 5 years, in 7 years, if you build with intention. The question is not whether recovery is possible. It is whether you understand the path clearly enough to actually walk it. After tonight, you do. If tonight's episode made you think about a foreclosure on your file, a deficiency you haven't addressed, a waiting period you're trying to navigate, or a profile you need honest eyes on, Beyond Credit Limits was built for exactly this. Our credit reporting analysis maps every entry connected to a foreclosure. The late payment history before the default, the foreclosure entry itself, any deficiency or judgment that followed, what each one is reporting, when each one runs out, and what the full picture means for your next application. Our strategic disputing process addresses entries reporting inaccurately, wrong dates of first delinquency, incorrect balances, status updates that never happened through a structured, documented, compliance-based approach built around your specific file. Our financial strategy planning maps the path from where the profile is today to where it needs to be for the loan program you are working toward, with a realistic timeline and the specific steps that move the needle. And our credit education and coaching walks you through exactly what needs to happen during the waiting period, so you arrive at the other end of it ready, not just eligible. Everything starts with the credit review consultation. 1 hour, your actual credit file, a real picture of where you are, and a clear map of what comes next. Visit www.beyondcreditlimits.com and fill out the consultation form today. The home you want is not out of reach, but getting there requires knowing exactly where you are starting from. Before I close, I want to leave you with this. No question is insignificant. Your questions matter because you matter. Knowledge creates options, and options create leverage. For everyone listening tonight who has been carrying a foreclosure, not just on their credit reports, but in the back of their mind, in the way they talked about themselves, in the hesitation before they even considered that home ownership might be possible again. I want you to hear this clearly. The foreclosure was a chapter, not the book. And the next chapter is being written by what you do starting right now. Visit www.beyondcreditlimits.com and fill out the consultation form. Submit your questions to the Real Credit Talk Show at beyondcreditlimits.com. Your first name and state or anonymous, I read everyone. And your question may be answered right here. Hit follow, turn on notifications, because next episode, we're going somewhere else most people have never been taken. And if tonight helped you, share it, because somebody in your circle is sitting with a foreclosure on their credit report and has convinced themselves that home ownership is not an option anymore. Send them this episode. Ask the question. Understand the timeline. Know what's on your credit profile and move with the kind of intention that only comes from understanding exactly what the system is reading about you and deciding to write the next chapter anyway. This has been the Real Credit Talk Show, hosted by me, Tiana Mayers, Lady T, founder of Beyond Credit Limits Corporation. Visit us at www.beyondcreditlimits.com. And if you know the brand, you already know www.thatmerchmood.com. Until next time, keep learning, keep positioning, and keep moving with intention. Have a good night.